Zutara, or the pairing of Zuko and Katara, has remained popular 15 years after the premiere of Avatar: The Last Airbender. The conflict between Zutara and Katang, or Katara and Aang, fans is thankfully not as antagonistic as it was then. While conflicts between various factions of a fandom was nothing new, Zutara vs. Katang was different because the two groups were relatively equal, and because the show aired at a time when the internet was evolving from a disconnected, inchoate web of chat rooms and awkwardly designed web pages into the sleek, convenient, user-friendly, sometimes terrifying thing that it is today. So the impact of this clash was amplified. But what I find remarkable is not that people were fighting about this 15 years ago when the show was still on the air. That's relatively normal. No, what I find fascinating is how many people still care right now, long after the show ended with a dramatic sunset and Katara kissing Aang. People keep watching the show and finding that the scenes of Zuko and Katara together are more tender and intimate and compelling than the scenes that are supposed to be romantic between Katara and Aang. Why is this? What are the best arguments one can make in favor of the Zuko and Katara pairing? And are these arguments convincing? Let's investigate. Obviously, there are some who simply believe that they look good together, and there are others whose obsession with the pairing is driven mainly by the obvious clash in symbolism between them. She's associated with the moon, while he's associated with the sun. Waterbending, when we're first introduced to it, is associated with healing, while firebending, when we're introduced to it, is associated with destruction. Katara is yin, Zuko is yang. These are not bad reasons for supporting a pairing. I want to make that clear. The internet is a very dark place, so I will not go so far as to say that there are no bad reasons for supporting a pairing. But I try not to judge people for what they support and why. I will, however, say that there are a lot of couples who just look good together, and there are a lot of couples who rely on contrasting symbolism, and none of these couples have the long-lasting support among fans that the Zuko and Katara pairing does. So it has to be more than that. These two really understand each other. I have to believe that is a significant part of it. While those who like the trope of two people hating each other before eventually falling for each other may have taken to this pairing immediately, that is a small percentage of everyone who supports this pairing. The pairing became far more popular by the end of Season 2, when Zuko had positioned himself on a path toward change. Realizing that the ethos that has driven him for the last 3 years of his life, that he needs to capture the Avatar in order to regain his honor, is nothing more than an extension of the ethos that has been pounded into him since he was a child. The belief system that holds the Fire Nation's war to be just, and the Fire Lord to be a godlike ruler worthy of reverence. And he doubts that entire belief system as he travels throughout the Earth Kingdom. Thus, he opens himself up to Katara. What makes Katara realize that he is more than the one-dimensional caricature she has thought of him as is that he reveals that the Fire Nation took his mother away from him, just like it took her mother away from her. They have that in common. They've both been traumatized by the Fire Nation. What he is not saying is that their experiences are the same. As a poor peasant girl growing up in an environment that nonetheless was far more beneficial and healthy to her development as a person and a bender than the corrupting palace milieu that defined Zuko's childhood, their material circumstances have little in common. But what he is saying is not only that they have endured similar experiences, but that the feelings those experiences have evoked in both of them, that alienation and fear and longing and the sense that there's some grand piece of themselves missing, those reactions to their experiences are similar as well. When she lashes out at him, she frames her anger and disgust as a defense of Aang. This makes sense. Katara is a selfless person. And Zuko's most immediate antagonist throughout Avatar: The Last Airbender has been Aang, not Katara. But Zuko realizes this is not about him chasing Aang all over the world. It's not about Aang at all. Despite what she says, it's about her. Aang and Sokka both mistrust Zuko because of his attempts to capture Aang in the past, but their feelings are mere annoyance compared to the deep wells of anger and bitterness Katara draws from. Her outburst towards Zuko is about the person she has been forced into becoming, and everything she has lost. There's a wound that can never heal, inflicted by machinations far beyond her control. She cannot respond to the actual source of the wound, so her anger is directed elsewhere. In the Southern Raiders, Aang claims to empathize with her. He claims to know what she's going through, but he doesn't. Not really. He lost his entire culture, but that's more abstract, and anyway, he didn't have the deep ties to his culture that someone like Katara has. While Aang did lose individuals he cared about, such as Monk Gyatso, these are all people who would have been dead by this time anyway, as Aang was frozen in the iceberg for 100 years. Aang is able to move on easily. We could say that this is a great example that we should all follow, and maybe it is, but people are messier than that. People aren't perfect, and we shouldn't expect them to be. We're flawed, and we can't always move beyond what happened to us. The best characters reflect this. Zuko understands that the wound Katara has suffered is not just the pain of losing a loved one, but the agony of being disconnected from an entire way of life, an entire world that used to be hers, and that gave her comfort she now lacks. Just as Zuko deflects his frustration onto Aang, Katara deflects her frustration onto Zuko. This understanding allows each to aid in the other's journey of self-discovery and self-enlightenment, and this is a major reason why I believe the pairing works so well. Some of you all may have heard that the old "you complete me" mindset can be harmful, actually, as seeing a significant other as nothing but a puzzle piece to complete yourself denies them their full humanity. And I mostly agree with that, but partners should help each other out. They should help each other change for the better. Fundamental paradigm-altering change is something we have to choose for ourselves, but that does not mean other people can't help us get to a position where we're comfortable making that choice. Zuko relies on Iroh primarily, but he also has Katara. When Zuko wonders if Iroh will ever, could ever forgive him after what he has done in the past, Katara reassures him. And he trusts her because she knows him. She knows the entirety of his spirit. That's what their relationship is. True, Zuko will never reclaim his lost childhood, even when he reunites with his mother, as we see in the comic trilogy The Search, because that idyllic childhood was largely an illusion. But the anger he directs toward Aang starts to dissipate entirely, because he finds the comfort and reassurance initially provided by that idyllic conception of the past, and he finds it not in his past, but in his future. He finds it in his relationship with Katara. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. It is an incisive, intellectually challenging, emotionally tender show that I am so glad is finally getting the attention it deserves. That a relationship like Zuko and Katara, one that the creators did not even intend to be romantic, has attracted so much attention, is a testament to the richness of the show as a text. So anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.